All right. What's up, everybody? Jordan Miller here with Run to Gun with my friend Dustin Leubke and Kjergaard, both guys that have been on Run to Gun TV countless times, especially Austin on the workout side of things. You have seen Dustin all the way back 2015, right? Yeah. We need to get you back on the show. Well, no, technically last year. You shot
2017.
Yeah, because you shot the Mule deer. We went and packed it out with you as well, out west. So
I was very thankful.
Yeah, you were back up in there in some rugged stuff. I killed a deer earlier that day, packed it out, and then I got a call from you, and we hiked right back up in there. So
he said, "Give me a call if you get something." And I'm like, "Yes, I got something the first day at noon." And it's like, "Oh, we're all the way back in town."
Yeah. So I just drove like an hour back out there, hiked another hour and a half into that spot. That was an awesome day, dude. But we are at the Sioux Empire Sportsman Show. In Sioux Falls, South Dakota, at the Big Frig booth. We're hanging out here today and tomorrow, and just visiting with people, talking about hunting, talking about fitness and health, talking about their hunting stories, our hunting stories, and anything we can do to help them learn and just take in any learning aspects as well. But we had a little downtime here and wanted to get a podcast rocking and kind of follow that same suit in the line of just talking hunting, our past hunts. And when we were sitting here kind of brainstorming ideas and chatting, one of those commonalities that we definitely had was some hunting out west, doing some mule deer hunting, and the amount of prep it takes to be successful, but also just to go out and have fun, and then the amount of memories it just builds. So, I mean, one of those big things definitely is like talking about you and your hunt back in, that was 15, right? That we were filming season 3. And so, dude, let's actually tell people who, maybe have started following us since then, how me and you actually connected and met and ended up doing this hunt together. Let's backtrack a little bit and give the audience a little context behind that.
Yeah, so I was a fan of the show. I watched it, liked the show, and actually my wife's work was up above Max Muscle.
Which is one of our partners.
Yeah, so Jordan was going in there one day, and I was going up to bring my wife lunch, and we literally ran into each other in the parking lot and started talking, and I think we went and grabbed lunch at Subway that day.
Yeah.
Or like the next day.
Yep.
And we just hit it off and started talking about mule deer hunting, and that was definitely on my bucket list. And I was going through some difficult stuff that year with a cancer battle. So Jordan just really took it upon himself to make sure that I was going to be able to do some sort of a hunt, which was super encouraging for me, and definitely something that got me through part of what I needed help with, was just mentally something to strive for, other than making it through and my family and stuff like that. But your hobbies, your passions that kind of take a back seat to your health, and that's there.
The health isn't there,
And when you're in that spot where you're like, oh man, I might not get to do that this year or next year or ever again.
Maybe ever.
It's, it really makes you think of something.
Right. And it's funny because, like you said, we met that day. I remember, Eva was a newborn, right? My little daughter that year. She was like 1. And she might have been pushing 1. And I remember I had her in the car seat, and I was coming out of my pickup, and all of a sudden I hear this, Jordan, and I'm like, what the heck? And there's this guy coming right at me that I don't know, and I'm like, do I need to grab my concealed carry right now? Oh no, just
there would have been a duel in the parking lot,
dude. And so it was just funny. There was this random guy that I've never met coming at me in the parking lot, and it was just he'd seen the show, and it was just one of those exciting moments. And I think we BS'd in the parking lot for 20-30 minutes, and we're like, okay, let's just do lunch tomorrow. And yeah, it was awesome. So we ended up drawing that tag together that year, that mule deer tag,
which was crazy because I didn't have any preference points.
Right, you shouldn't have drew that tag.
That's insane.
Because this guy's been applying. He applies for years without drawing anything. Statistically should draw and doesn't.
I'm like the opposite.
Jordan basically said after we talked, he said, "Hey, you should put in for this unit." And I just said, well, I don't have any preference points. And he's like, I'll just put in for it. Maybe we can get it the following year, if you need one preference point. And yeah, there was some definite divine intervention from up above.
Yeah, because I think there was I can't remember the total number, but I think it was like 70 or 74 leftover tags for people who didn't have preference points, and there was like 550 people with no preference points that put in for those leftover like 55 or 74 or something like that. But it was a very low chance of getting
Should
that.
not have.
Yeah, and you pulled it. So.
And the really cool thing was I ended up going into the hospital. I was inpatient for 20 days for stem cell transplant.
Yep.
And I got that email the second day I was in there. Like, I was getting 2-a-day chemos. I really wasn't having a lot of fun stuff happening. And I get this email and I drew this tag and I called him right away. Super excited.
Yep.
I'm like, you'll never guess I got it. I was like, what?
Yeah, I was so surprised. And so, so let's then fast forward. You're in treatment, and we're getting into early November when this hunt is. And you are how many days out of treatment? It wasn't very many.
It was roughly 90. I think we started 94.
Yes.
Rings a bell for the day I shot the deer, but roughly 90.
Yep.
And I mean, literally, that's 3 months after stem cell transplant, and I would say that 2 month, 2.5 month, I was very nervous I wasn't going to be able to do it, just physically. And, mentally, that's a struggle too when you're used to being able to, keep up with everybody, and now you feel like you're going to be holding everybody up.
Yeah, and on a rigorous hunt that we were going to put on a lot of miles. It wasn't one that we could just walk out a half a mile. It was going to be one that, if we're going to try to get something, we're going to have to put on some miles. We're going to be spending all day outside. We know the weather can be suspect that time of year where, you're already at a low body fat percentage from being sick, and, you've been in the hospital. You're still doing chemo at that time. And so, if I remember right, you're still doing chemo at that time.
The week before I had we went out.
And we go out on day one of this hunt and hike back like 3 miles in this area. And I'm like, it's pretty rough little cut, and there's a lot of ups and downs, a couple steeps, and right to this ending spot that we want to start glassing for sunup that morning is a pretty steep little embankment to get up to this spot, and Dustin's in front of all of us. Or Dusty's in front of all of us.
No, the first day I was behind you.
Oh, was that?
And then the other guys were sitting at the bottom waiting.
Yeah.
And you turned back, and I'm right behind you.
That's
and then
what
the
it
next
was.
day, then I was
in front. And we were like, I'm like, how's this dude in front right now?
I have no idea what was going on or how I was even managing that. It was awesome, though. It was really cool.
Dude, it was incredible. It's like, and we look back at that footage. So we filmed it. It was like basically like a 2-part series for our TV show that year. And the footage is really cool. You have to check it out. It's under season 3 of Run 2 Gun TV. But anyway, we get to I believe it was day 3, right? And this is actually only a 4-day season.
Yeah.
It's a 4-day season before the season actually turns off, and then it reopens again a week and a half later for another week, basically.
Yeah.
But by then, it's not always primo hunting for mule deer in a lot of these areas.
We were getting fairly nervous because we saw some nice deer, ones that I would definitely have shot. And I was like, let's just wait a little. That one's not quite mature. And I'm like, cool, I like that. I like mature deer. And then that day 3, we're like, okay, we got to start making something happen here. And then it was, hey, how are you feeling? And do you think we can make it kitty corner across this piece the long way?
Yeah, because we kept seeing, on the piece that we were on, I had scouted a couple really nice deer. And it was like ghost town in there when we were there. We saw a couple small ones.
Yeah.
But we kept seeing, about 3.5 miles away on this big ridge, which was land that we couldn't hunt. We kept seeing what appeared to be nice deer at that distance. And so Matt, actually, our buddy, got on, we looked up the landowner and got on the phone, and somehow this guy let us on to hunt. And absolutely crazy.
Most of those numbers don't even go to some phone that doesn't exist, or they have it on some landline.
Exactly. And so we had that after, and that was like in mid-afternoon that we had gotten permission for this land, and so we're kitty corner, 3.5 miles or something like that.
It was a long ways. But we were gonna have to really beat feet over there to get there by the evening, and they started moving again.
Yeah, and so we were like debating, like, okay, do we hike back to our truck on this road and drive down, and then hike back in this opposite end, or do we just kitty corner and get on this land, and then, you know, hike back to our trucks, which is another 2.5 miles back or 3 miles back this other way to get our trucks later that night. Like, either way, we're like, it's gonna be a late night. Or do we even go over there tonight? Do we just hunt this spot until tonight and go over there tomorrow for the last day and risk being in there for one day? Or do we get one day and an evening?
Yeah.
And so finally we were like, dude, let's just start hiking. It got really nice that afternoon. We're like, let's just get over there and see. We'll have an hour. We'll have the last hour. Like let's just go over there. So we started hiking.
Our plan was to hunt the lower side of it. And
yes. Yep.
Matt was gonna hike up to Matt and Sam actually because Matthew was sick.
Yeah. So Matthew, our main camera guy, was deathly ill.
Yeah.
And so we had my buddy from college actually recording for us on one camera, and I was kind of manning the other camera a little bit. Yeah, so we just started hiking over there.
Yeah, so we kind of made a plan where they were going to go up top and just glass and see if they could see anything for the next day, and we were going to kind of stay low and work our way in there. And it was, you know, we got to a spot and we're like, oh, this is good. And then we kind of look at each other and said, if we can get to that next spot up there, another 100 yards, we're going to see a lot more. And we got up there and we're getting stuff settled in, and we see this little buck run down. And it, actually, Matt and Sam had kicked that one up where they were going to go. It was bedded right under a cedar.
Yep.
And it went down in this cut, and then we were like, oh, this is good. He might come back out. And he was a decent, like a 3x3.
Yep. Yeah, I think he was like 3x4, but it was kind of broken, right? He had like a broken tine or something on one of his forks.
Yep. Yeah, so he's like, oh, well, let's get set up. Let's get ready. And
yep.
You know, we literally had, an hour left of flight, maybe?
Yeah.
Hour and a half?
Yeah.
And that deer popped back out on the top, and Jordan's like, oh, get on him, you know. So he started filming, and we're kind of like, you know. And then the big one showed up, and he came out of that brush, and it was literally like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, like, wasn't expecting that at all. Like, yeah, we see there's a bunch of does in this little brush, you know, tight ravine, and all of a sudden, like, yeah, I'm filming that little buck, and all of a sudden you hear me on the camera be like, no, big one's on the bottom, And he was just working his does up that thick area.
Driving that little buck out.
Yes.
He was holding them down in there, and then he was pushing that buck out, but I couldn't see how big. I saw a body, and I'm like, I know he's a huge deer because I see his body, and he came out of that brush like an elk. And I'm like,
it was so cool. It was amazing. Like, pretty dang neat. So, okay, so this deer comes up. He works out on the opening part comes out of the brush, and he's on this opening flat. You're locked and loaded. I'm rolling the camera. What's going through your mind?
Don't screw up. I worked way too hard for this shot.
Yeah, and it's windy.
Yep,
it's windy.
We had a good crosswind, and thankfully we had went out and did a little target practice and sighted the gun in. And if I wouldn't have done that and really dialed it in, because we
had the same wind. What's crazy? You talk about like all these divine things that happen. We had that same wind that day we were target practicing as we did.
Yep.
When you're
crosswind, 15 miles an hour ish.
Yep.
And kind of coming at us, we're like, yep. You said same wind. And okay, well the first one, I don't know if I jerked the trigger or what, but I went right over his back.
Yeah.
And I lost him in my scope. I racked around. I lost him. I asked him if he went down in there, thinking he went back down. Mm-hmm. And he's like, no, he's up top. I got back on him and shot, and he dropped. And I had a 243.
Yeah.
Because it was something that I had a port right here.
Yep.
So I couldn't have a heavy caliber gun that kicked.
Yep.
So I was shooting a 243, and the deer dropped, and it was literally like this rush of emotion. Like buck fever, the everything, just shakes, and it was just like, oh. But yeah, and then walking up on that deer was, so we're jumping up and down like this actually happened.
Couldn't believe it. This deer's a monster, It just incredible how that whole story, just warped into what it turned into.
Yeah.
It was one of those things like it was what you want a story to be, and you can't write it any better. And chances of all of it happening the way it happened should never happen, and it just does. Like it's one of those things that it is taken care of from by itself, and pretty amazing.
Yeah, and it was a long pack out that night. And then thankfully we did get that deer because we went back up in there the next day and we didn't make a ton of noise.
Nope.
When we were
And we were only the tiny little bottom half of it.
And we saw that same buck and those
that little guy,
little guy, and we didn't see any other deer.
No.
So if we would have waited on that piece till the next day, we would have maybe got that smaller buck.
Yep. Yeah, and I ended up not filling my tag until when that season reopened, and on a smaller mule deer buck, So yeah, if you guys have a chance to check that story out, it's under season 3 of Run to Gun on our YouTube channel. Pretty neat. It's I can't remember. I think it might be episodes 3 and 4, 4 and 5. I think it's 4 and 5, a 2-part episode. Pretty neat story that I think a lot of you will connect with. And then Austin. Let's give some context, just in case any new followers, how you and I met and got involved in Run to Gun together.
Oh, man. So Jordan and I met in end of 2010, beginning of 2011, somewhere in there. We actually had a mutual friend at a gym.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny because I was working at Max Muscle in Sioux Falls at the time. And every time I would come in, someone's like, "Oh, you just missed Jordan." And I'm like, "Who's this Jordan guy?" And like, keep hearing about him. He keeps sending people in. So finally, like, he came in with our mutual friend, and we had met. And the craziest thing happened that day. He had like said that he was going to be putting on a hunting show because he's always wanted to train hunters to be in shape. And I was like, I've literally wanted to do something like that my entire life. I just had not like thought of what it would look like ever. I was just like, how would you start? And he already kind of had something in motion, and so like we would kind of work out a little bit. We just got to know each other, and we had a lot of the same beliefs and ideas when it comes to training and coaching people. And he kind of told me what he was doing through season 1, and I was like, man, this is fantastic. And then after he got done with season 1, I was very thankful. He asked me to kind of be in a couple episodes of season 2, and have pretty much just been all in with Run to Gun, since then. It's just kind of weird to think about 4 or 5 years now, and that's kind of where we.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool because how we met, is just through that whole being attracted to people that are going to push you, or just really good people that support but challenge you. And that was definitely that relationship we had in that at that time where we were both just very goal-driven young guys.
Yeah.
That were trying to just be different and accomplish things. That dreams that we had, and that's like we just push each other like that and motivate each other to do those things. But throughout that, it was one of those things like we're talking about mule deer hunting that you've always wanted to get yourself a mule deer, and it's just still been like that big hang up. Like that Western hunt seems like every year, like whenever you draw this tag, it's just been this like string of bad luck.
It's just something that comes up. And I mean, for those that don't, like I've gotten, so in South Dakota, we have West River, East River, and I've gotten, plenty of East River bucks in my day, but it's just for some reason the West River has been a little more challenging, being able to get, a doe, but to actually fulfill that buck tag. For some reason, it's just been, even we had a little challenge this year with our spring. I did my first spring elk hunt with Jordan, and we went into a spot that we were comfortable at, we knew, and it was just weird.
And I had hunted it for 4 years in a row consecutively prior with other people, not my tags, but I've taken somebody else out, and we have killed elk on like pretty much basically day 1 every single time. So I'm like, Austin, like you want to just get into fun cow hunt in the summertime, like it should be a day hunt. We'll schedule 2 days just in case we need it, but like it's fun. It's a great way to get out. You harvest an elk, like it's a ball. And we hunted like 5 days.
We did like 5 legit days.
Saw a couple bulls.
That was it. Two small bulls, and then it was just. We even tried a different area that was very, very, very promising, and it was like, man, like couldn't ask for.
Where's the herd of cows? Like it's so weird. It's just like your string of luck right there. Like several of these. Mule deer and whitetail hunts that we've had out west, where it's like, usually it's we'll get something, and just. Couple bad days of hunting, not much movement's down, whatever it is. So it's gonna add to that story when it happens here. Like it's just gonna be really cool how it does show the tough side of hunting. Like people think that we go out and just like we're always filling tags or whatever it is, and it's like
or drawing.
And that's the other thing is like they're not seeing how many applications we put in every
No,
single
there's a ton
year.
of work
How many
that
states?
goes to
Yeah.
all of this. Like,
It's not a given tag that you just go buy over the counter somewhere.
no.
It's like,
No.
And I thank Jordan because he'll usually text me like, hey, like you need to get on and check all these places because the due dates are coming soon. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And so we all conversate on, how this is going to go because no tags are, guaranteed for us. And so it's kind of like, get a tag, all right, now how are we going to line the hunt up? Where are we going to hunt? That takes time. We got to scout. We got to find where we're going to go. And then we train. Like, we like to stay in shape. That's part of it. So
yeah, you definitely don't want to draw that tag and then be like, oh, I better do some little bit more elevation training, or hey, I'm going to be hiking in 3 miles and I've been just doing
basic bodybuilding movements or just basic
whatever.
training. Like, you got to step it up a little bit.
do.
You know what I mean? And that's
Absolutely.
one thing that Austin has done. And that we've done.
Don't have too much fun.
Yeah.
So see you later.
And so it's kind of like,
buddy.
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those things where
You're gonna hate this place.
you spend all of this time
Yep.
online looking for tags, or not looking for tags, but you're applying for tags. You get a tag, you applied for it, you got it, you're scouting for it, now you're training for it, and to go through all of that, and then you do everything on your end correctly. Maybe you go out and sight the rifle in just to make sure you're on, and then all of a sudden there's nothing, or there's something, but the shots weren't lined up, and so don't get confused. Like and Jordan can ask, like in the field, he can just tell, like I just shut down and I just need my time to just be quiet because internally I'm frustrated with it because I know I'm a good hunter, but to put in that time, it's frustrating. But at the same time, I'm also thinking, what else can I do different to bring it back the next year? Because at the end of the day, I'm always pumped to go out west and hunt. Always. Like we just talked about it before we started filming. Like I can't wait for November. I can't wait for us to go back out west. It is the memories that I get to share with my friends when we're out, and I just love that process. So even though I do get frustrated if the outcome isn't there, that's just kind of why I need that time to just kind of think. I'm walking back because it's like, this is still a blast. This is still a lot of fun, but.
It does. It wakes you up because it's like you want to be frustrated because you do want to get a nice animal, or you want to fill that tag, but like it's a great reminder that it's not even what it's about.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it does have to humble you back down, get you back to center where it's like, okay, just being out there is so awesome.
Absolutely.
and taking that 2 or 3 days away and just kind of shutting down the phone, shutting down shutting down everything, and just being out there, enjoying nature, and looking at that stuff where you can really concentrate on it, and you're not, being that stuff dangling over your head.
All the
where
external
you're like, I should be doing this, I should be running that errand and this errand. You're like, just focus on that.
You can focus on the one thing, and just being out in nature and connecting back to nature and what it offers all of us. It's pretty special. So
It is.
Yeah.
It is hard when you start preparing right now, though. And,
Right.
Yeah.
You think from now until being, set up and all right, where are they at? Where are they coming from?
Right. I was just looking on Google Earth last night how I can get into the corner of this piece where I glassed deer last year, because it's supposed to snow again this week, and I'm kind of tired of that. So I gotta look ahead and think of something else other than being.
But it's like all those moves now that people kind of forget. Like, if you wait to put in all that research until you draw that tag, there's a lot to be done in a short amount of time. Where if you can use some of these months just to be researching different areas that maybe you have or haven't hunted or have seen that you've wanted to get into. And maybe you do have some points. Well, don't waste your points on an area that you're not quite sure about. Like, do some Google Earth research. If you have a day where you can drive out to that area this time of year, even and glass a little bit, and some different paths that you can hike in, or if you just want to go out and hit that hike, see if it's that area that you want to use those points on that year, or just put in for on a year where you have a small chance of drawing with minimal points, but you want to risk it. Like, you should, but there's so many of these dead months in here where we can utilize.
Talking to landowners too.
Yes. Don't give away my secrets.
You're going to be able to reach more landowners this time of year just due to they're kind of held up in their houses too.
Exactly.
When it gets busy and when it's right before hunting season, they're busy. They don't want to deal with hunters coming in, and they kind of just.
It's asking during around the hunting season is just a great way to always get shut down. It just is.
Yep.
It happens. Like we got lucky on that hunt that one time. We risked it, just made the call. That never happens. I've done that 100 times.
No.
And it's always a no. So.
That was awesome.
Yep, pretty cool. But that kind of is concluding our first podcast here at the Sportsman Show in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, here with two of my friends. Thanks for jumping on. We jumped on Instagram Live over here as well on a couple different channels. And if you enjoyed this podcast, as always, share it with your friends. If you want to rate it, give us a rating. We always appreciate all those little things that help us out. Thanks for tuning in today, guys. See you later.